Hi everybody, I'm Miles and I am an illustrator. Now, this is my first time being on camera in a very long time like this, and my first time making a YouTube video in 5 or 6 years. So I apologize in advance if I sound a little awkward every once in a while. Now this video is filmed from a bunch of clips I took while I was in quarantine during my senior year of college in March, April, and May, as I finished the last semester of my degree in illustration. I really just wanted to make this video to kind of document what happened to art school specifically when it was forced to go remote. When you think of art, I know you might not think that it's necessarily something you have to go to school for, and you're right. The purpose of this is really just to show you what happened to art school when it was forced to go remote. Obviously, a person can draw and paint from home all they want, but when you've actually been going to art school for a long time, like I was, having all your classes go remote can actually be quite difficult. And some of the classes that I took my senior year just didn't really make sense when it was given to me in an at-home environment. It's not like a lot of classes where you can just get lectures and stuff from online professors on Zoom. Most of my classes were engaging with the people around me and everyone giving each other feedback on how they could make what they're doing better. Getting hands-on instructions by my professors who could really look at what I was doing up close and personal and tell me if I made a mistake or not. So basically, this video is to show you how college classes still worked for art school during the pandemic. I'm going to be showing you a whole week in my course schedule, so you're going to be seeing a lot of different types of classes and a lot of different types of art. So please, stay tuned and let's jump into the video. On Mondays, I have all my courses that are not necessarily central to my major. I'm just going to take you through my day and show you what has happened to each of those courses. So next I have my printmaking class, which we're currently doing like scratch board illustration where plexiglass etching. Plexiglass etching is definitely not something I would consider myself very good at. It's just kind of one of those like almost mundane or repetitive tasks that like I really don't find that fun. So I've kind of been putting this off for a while. We have to find a way to print it from home, like using a brayer and ink. At my school, there is like, printing presses and things that we would actually use to make sure this turns out looking like pretty high quality, but obviously we don't have access to that now. Okay, so here I have my plexiglass plate. My etching is on here. It is actually an etching of this little plant I have. I was looking for something easy. I just want to preface this by saying I am in no way claiming to be good at this, but I am going to go through etching a little bit of it. The paper I'm using is just a Canson mixed media paper, and that is absolutely not what you're supposed to be using for a project like this. You should be using really thin rice paper, but I don't have that, and like I said, I would normally be doing this with a press. There are tons of things that would happen to make this look a lot better than it is. So I'm working with what I have. We're in quarantine. I don't have easy access to supplies or anything like that. So although the etching itself was relatively easy, making the print was really not. I looked up a tutorial online to try to find a way to do this as best I could, but even that required so many things that I just didn't have at home. So I used a cork from a wine bottle to actually apply a thick layer of ink onto my piece of plexiglass, and then I used an old credit card to scrape off the excess. And then, after I finished this, I took a piece of torn-off bed sheet and wiped away carefully and slowly as much of the excess ink as I could. Pretty resourceful, right? After that, I took a spray bottle and took a piece of my paper and made it just slightly damp before placing it against the plexiglass and rubbing it with the back of a spoon in order to transfer it onto the other to simulate sort of what a press might do. Obviously not nearly as good. And honestly, Nobody should really take my advice on how to do this because this truly did not work at all. Drum roll please, here is the finished result. Yeah, not great. And here we go a second time, still bad, and third time's the charm, no. So actually, after this, I brought out my iPad, scanned in my plexiglass, and actually just etched it by hand. So I totally cheated, and I wound up handing this in as my final. I know it's kind of wrong, but it was really the best I could do. Now I'm in my last class of the day, which is my life drawing class. This is the class that probably has had the toughest time transitioning to be in an all online format. I have this class every Monday from 6:30 to 9:30, so it's pretty late, it's dark. I'm just gonna go through and show you guys what I am working on. So this life drawing class is actually a class where we draw specifically the male figure. I decided to take this class because I'm not particularly good at drawing men, and I thought this would be a way to get better at it. Obviously, this used to be a class where the model was more right in front of me on a stage and I was drawing them that way, but since going remote, my teacher basically just gives us photos that he's found online that are professionally lit, and we basically have to just draw those and hand them into a Google Drive. It's really nothing that you couldn't just do from home on any old day, but I guess that's really how it had to be during the coronavirus. Hey everyone, it is 7:30 on Tuesday morning. If I look exhausted, it's because I am. I have most of my core classes on Tuesdays. I again have class all day. My first class is at 9 and it is a 6-hour class. It is my thesis. It's broken into 2 sessions, so I have class from 9 to noon and then again from 2 to 5. For those of you who do not know what a thesis is, it's basically an assignment that a senior does right before graduation. They typically spend their last semester working on it, and it is a self-made assignment, so no one is giving me the specs or telling me what to do. I came up with this assignment for myself on my own, and it's meant to help us focus more in on what we want to do after graduation. So I just wanted to throw in a couple clips so you could see what my thesis has been up until this point. I've been working on illustrations based off of old fairy tales. So this one you're seeing right now is my version of Snow White, where I kind of have her in a dark wooded forest in her glass coffin, as she was in the fairy tale. And then in my second one, I have an older fairy tale that's a lot less known called The Buried Moon, which was supposedly a English folklore about the moon's descent to Earth in human form. These projects really were very big for me and were the stepping stones to making my thesis what it is, so I just wanted to include them here. So before I begin any of these, I start with a research phase. So we're going to take to the internet and see what we can find on a new fairy tale to explore. So my idea initially was to start and research Sleeping Beauty and see what the original story of Sleeping Beauty is. So that's gonna be my first step, and if I hate it, I will pick something else.
I'm liking the plot initially.
Good fairy, evil fairy.
I really like Maleficent.
I normally do this.
Okay, so I find something in the dark. Whoa.
1830 and 1330. Wow. Probably the most helpful to me.
Go job! Okay, so I didn't really learn that much that I didn't already know. I wrote in my notes a couple passages that give me an idea in my mind, and I am going to take that into the thumbnail phase and draw up some tiny sketches to select from and just kind of get out my ideas. Sketches are done, and now we start class. So after meeting with my professor and some of the students in my class, they pretty much unanimously selected the first thumbnail I did. I will, move on from here by using that thumbnail as the basis for my final illustration. As I said, this is a 6-hour course, so it goes until 5. Normally, I would use that time to work more on the illustration, which I might do a little bit, but I have some more work to do for my second class of the night, tonight at 6:30. So I think instead, for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with making thumbnails for that illustration, and I will show the process for that as well. So I actually didn't really know where I was going when I started drawing this. What I was trying to work on mostly this semester was getting more comfortable with drawing scenery. A lot of my art has previously been very decorative, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to draw more foreground, middle ground, background sort of things. All I really knew for this was that I wanted to draw some sort of cabin in the woods, and after looking up reference photos on Pinterest and on Google Images, it sort of just all came from there, and I wound up doing this drawing within the span of about a half hour or 45 minutes or so. I was supposed to make 2 of these drawings today, but it just didn't really happen that way. I am exhausted, and I really don't think I had it in me to do a second one. I guess that's what happens when you wake up way too early, but it's fine. I didn't really need a bunch of them. I'm just gonna have to carry through what I didn't finish tonight, tomorrow, and just continue to make progress with the assignment. But yeah, class time. Unfortunately, just due to school policy, I can't actually record the Zoom sessions that I have with my professor while it's during class time. So I was thinking maybe a way to get around that would be to ask certain professors for a one-on-one so you can see some of the feedback that they're giving. That is it for classes for the day. I will see you guys in the morning. Good morning, everyone. So today is Wednesday, which is technically my day off from classes, but I still have a lot to do today. So we are going to go through all that together. Today we're going to be working a lot on the Maleficent piece because I only have about 2 weeks until that's due from start to finish, and then some more on those environment concepts that you saw yesterday. So the idea here was to go for more of a Maleficent the movie style vibe rather than a Sleeping Beauty vibe, although I did use Sleeping Beauty's original castle as reference when I was creating this castle. And as you can see with the Maleficent figure as the piece goes on, I was going for more of an Angelina Jolie, more realistic type figure than the previous drawings I had done as well. Doing this was actually a huge struggle. This piece was very difficult for me, looking back on it as I record this many weeks later. But doing the whole architecture of this castle was very challenging for me for sure. And this is just day 1 of the drawing, so there will be a whole lot more footage later in the video. So unfortunately did not get nearly as much done today as I wanted to. Spent a long time just like trying to work out the details of what the castle was gonna look like. I am not super great with architecture, and honestly, some days are better than others as far as motivation goes during the pandemic. You'll see more progress on that stuff tomorrow and Friday. As I said, the bulk of my classes are in the beginning of the week, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. It's Thursday, and I actually can't even lie, it is 3 p.m. Now we're going to start the day. So I have a few things that I was going to work on today. I'm going to do the second concept environment sketch, and if I have enough time before my class tonight, then I will work on Maleficent a little more. The idea for the second piece was similar toward the first one, where I really wanted to keep this sort of forest theme going that I've had in a lot of my art recently. So instead of having sort of a bright, pretty cabin in the woods, I decided to do sort of a mystical shrine with an old staircase leading up to it in like a big wooded area. And although both of these are just concept sketches in the end, I'd love to revisit them at some point and turn them into paintings. As you'll notice, I definitely struggled with figuring out what to put in the bottom right. Probably just needs to have some sort of foreground element there, but I will be sure to revisit that before I wind up doing some sort of painting with this, because as it sits right now, there still is nothing in that corner. On Thursdays, I have two classes, kind of. My first class, I have a business class at like 5 p.m. on Thursdays, but since we went to a remote style of learning, that class honestly like hasn't even met. I don't even really know what's happening with that. And then my second class is the second session of my like story-based creative media classes that I have on Tuesday. And that's what those concept environments that I've been working on are for. Go easy on me for those sketches. You know, there's a lot of fumbling about as I try to find out what I'm doing. I think it's really fun and really interesting place and a new direction to be taking my art, but it does not mean I'm good at it, and it does not necessarily mean that I want to be held to like a very high standard for it yet. I would love to get there someday. I do not think I'm there now. So I'll meet with my professor. I will show him the second environment that I did today, and he will give me critique on that. I don't think that I'll meet with you guys again today after my class, and then I'll spend the bulk of tomorrow working on the Maleficent piece, trying to get that towards a more finalized drawing. That should be it for tonight, and if I don't check in later, I will see you in the morning. So it's a couple months later when I'm filming this footage, but I really didn't have that much footage for Friday, the last day of the week. Or if I did, I'm not really sure what happened to it. Most of what I had from that day is just the critique that I had with my professor, which I will show you right now.
So let's make a decision here. The distance, this to this, here to here, quite different, right? So which feels right to you?
The bigger one is a little too big, but the small one's a little too small.
I agree. Somewhere in there, okay.
Yeah.
Your question was, how does this actually meet?
Yeah, I don't understand how something like that would end.
Like a little stone slab.
Oh.
Like right there.
Okay.
And that would demarcate the end of the stairs and the beginning of the path. So maybe what you want to do is take this and just poke the lantern back a little bit. So we have room for this little stone slab and room for a path. And then room for the little temple to sit back.
Okay.
Just so that this space is clear.
Right.
What we have to do is connect the corner, this top corner, to this bottom corner. So if these curves are, if the stairs are following this curve.
Oh. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You've done really well. This is good. So I think you need a branch coming up here.
Okay.
Okay? And a little bit more up here. All right? Because I just want this to balance this.
Yeah. After I finished this critique, I didn't really move on to make the edits that we talked about in that video. It wasn't really part of that week of class. In the future, there might be a separate video on me improving and painting those images if anyone wants to see it. So I spent the rest of Friday working on my Maleficent piece well into the night, which is actually probably why I didn't manage to film anything else for the day. But here is the rest of that as well. Well, alright everybody, that was it. That was a week in quarantine as an art student. I hope you guys found this video interesting because something like this was a really rare moment in history. And I just felt, even if I put this nowhere, this video and this kind of footage was really the kind of stuff that are a part of history. Everyone, no matter how long into the future, is always going to remember the time where the whole world shut down for a couple months. And this is just one way and just one person's life that was affected by how this was shut down. But I just think that it's always going to be a really interesting thing to hear about and an interesting thing to document. Anyways, that's really it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I am reviving this channel. This is probably the second video you're seeing on here besides just a little trailer if you're looking at this when it comes out. But I have more than one video filmed right now, and I just am really excited to get back into making and sharing my art with the world. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and I will see you next time. Bye!